All right. In this explainer, we're diving into a pretty dire warning coming from Iran's foreign minister. It paints a really grim picture for the future of the Middle East. And according to the source material we've analyzed, it's a message about imminent danger and a call for a radical shift in who trusts who in the region.
So, the source we're looking at kicks things off with this incredibly dramatic claim. It's meant to grab your attention right away, setting the stage for a message that's supposed to be urgent for the entire region. Let's break down what this warning is all about.
Okay, so first up, what's the actual warning here? According to the source, it's a message aimed squarely at the Gulf countries and other Arab states.
The central argument being presented is pretty blunt. What's happening right now is not some isolated event. No, it's being framed as just the opening act for a much, much wider conflict. The warning is, basically, you're next.
So, you might be asking, what is this specific threat they're supposedly facing? Well, according to the source, it all centers around one single concept, something referred to as the Greater Israel Plan.
And this is absolutely key. The entire warning really hinges on this one idea. It's being presented not just as a political ambition, but as a full-blown existential threat to the region. So what is it? Well, according to this narrative, we're not talking about your typical border disputes. It's described as a deliberate long-term strategy to achieve total regional dominance by systematically taking over neighboring countries one after the other.
And this isn't some vague, abstract threat. The source gets really specific here, pointing to exactly who it alleges is in the crosshairs. It claims that after the current conflict, the plan is to move on to Turkey, then Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and other Gulf states.
Now, this is where the source material draws a really sharp line in the sand. It creates this stark contrast between Iran's readiness for a fight and what it sees as the extreme vulnerability of its neighbors, essentially framing them as either allies or hostages. And check this out. It's a real tale of two completely different approaches. On one side, you have Iran, portrayed as ready to go, economically independent, and battle-tested. And on the other, you have the Gulf states, who, the source argues, have basically handed the keys to their security over to the U.S., leaving them without any real way to fight on their own.
And this isn't just an idea. The source points to hard numbers to back this up. We're talking about 20, count them, 20 U.S. military bases spread all across the Middle East. And apparently they're getting beefed up with some serious hardware, like Patriot and THAAD missile defense systems.
And that, right there, leads to the million-dollar question that the source poses directly to other Arab leaders. Are all those fancy U.S. bases and missile systems really going to protect you from an Israeli attack? Well, the answer, according to this narrative, is a hard no. Not just no, but a resounding, you are making a fatal mistake if you believe that. And here's the logic behind that no. It's pretty blunt. The argument is, since the U.S. is Israel's main military supplier, why on earth would America use its defense systems to shoot down its own advanced F-35 jets? The source basically says only a fool would believe that would ever happen.
So if you follow that line of thinking, the conclusion is pretty shocking. The U.S. bases, according to the source, aren't there to protect their Arab hosts at all. Their main purpose is to guarantee Israeli security, which means these nations have, in a strange twist, unintentionally guaranteed the safety of the very country they're being warned about.
Okay, so after laying out this pretty bleak picture, what's the final message? What's the proposed path forward here? Well, it all boils down to one thing: a call for independent resistance.
And the narrative holds up Iran as the prime example. The argument is that Iran can fight back because it stands on its own 2 feet, it's economically self-sufficient, has its own military tech, is backed by powerful allies, and fundamentally isn't, as the source puts it, a slave to the US or Israel.
So here's the crucial point, the fundamental lesson being offered. The source argues that for Muslim nations, relying on Western military alliances is a trap, a fatal error. And this is presented as the lesson learned from Iran's own experience with sanctions and isolation.
And that brings us to the final call to action, and it could not be more direct. The warning wraps up with a stark message: prepare to stand on your own, because no one else is coming to save you. In the regional upheaval that's described as coming, self-reliance is presented as the only path to survival.
Ultimately, the source material leaves us wrestling with this really provocative question. In a world of shifting powers and complex relationships, who can a nation truly count on to guarantee its own existence? It's a heavy thought to end on,